Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are doing well today. The main topic of my video today is when we forget to cry out to God. And that's the idea of this. And I suppose in my case it was kind of like that, but not fully. You'll understand when I tell you the story. So you're going to have to forgive me. Ever since I began my school on Monday, just caused so much stress for the things, if you already know, I told you in other videos. I'm still suffering that, and it's just brutal. I mean, you know, the schools, I'm used to it now, but any case, I just wanted to answer this. I didn't answer you, Annette. The candles that I showed you in the last video, this guy, I'm not endorsing anything here, but I do sell these. That's that's super detailed, man. People love that. Some people who buy those will buy like 10 at a time, because the people who they give it to just like it so much. But in any case, it's I just call that my night owl. But I wanted to show you another one. It's like a Tim Burton like thing. If you think of the like Tim Burton animated things, it's two skeletons getting married. This one's an older one that I did, so it's kind of dusky, but that camera doesn't really pick up the detail too well. It's got tremendous detail in the skeleton's face. You just can't see it. Let's see if I can. Yeah, it's still not showing it right, but anyways, you can see the level. Just for that mold, I bought that mold in Europe. I bought it from someone in Ukraine, and it was like $160. You know, I thought of getting my own 3D printer, and I know how to. I would figure out how to use them, but in any case, it's just so much cheaper to buy the molds. I've talked to people about this, so yeah. The next thing I wanted to say, which deserves to be said, I would have to believe in my heart that everything that happened with these California wildfires, especially in the place where it did, and I feel sorry for anyone who goes through natural disasters, 2 days beforehand, I think that's what they said, 2 days beforehand, the Golden Globes, I watched that. That host was mocking God. They were mocking the Catholic faith, but they don't know what is God's people and what's not, because, and you're going to say, what do you mean they're not God's people? A lot of people who are in Catholicism are not saved. There's many of them, probably most, but there are certainly people of God in the Catholic faith, but they don't know that. But so their idea was to mock God. And she was wearing that hat. She was wearing the hat of Dagon. That's what the Pope wears. Dagon. Remember that story? What else was I going to say? It's my kidney stone, man. You know what it's like trying to think and to have an executive function when you're like this? And the story I'm going to tell you made it much worse. So she was mocking God, and it was just like other things we've seen in the world, where, like Brazil, there was one that certainly happened because of Brazil. It was that parade that they had, where they had Jesus running and the devil was chasing him. There goes my throat dysphonia. And yeah, and he's got a pitchfork and he's putting it in Jesus's back, And all the floats in that carnival, I think it was, were satanic. Did you see the things that they were floating? In any case, they had massive flooding about a couple months later. It didn't happen again, as people said. They had their dates off. But this happened two days after that woman was mocking God. You know, what was it? 13 points for the family, 1 for Mario Lopez, 0 for God. You know, whatever. That's what she said. And all the channels are playing that, and I do believe it. I do believe it. God will not be mocked. God will not be mocked. Give me a sec. God will not be mocked. And make something very clear about God not being mocked. When people look at the Old Testament and they see how they think God is truly a vicious person, when there's always a reason why God wiped out certain people because of how evil they were. God did not wipe out righteous people. He's a just God. He made us, and we cannot question why he made us. So easy to get into that. Why do you do this, right? As Paul says, why did you make me? But that Old Testament God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, still there, always was. People think because there's a new covenant that God is a sissy God. Right? As I've seen many popular pastors say, oh, please come to me, you know, like that type of thing. God will not be mocked, and he'll show you his power. He's a God of vengeance. In any case, I'm going to read something to you that actually I saw on a channel that was talking about God being mocked. And I read this, I'm like, I don't remember this. Nahum 1. God's mercy and judgment. The burden against Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. Listen to this. God is jealous and the Lord avenges. The Lord avenges and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord has his way in the whirlwind and the storm, and the clouds are the dust. I never heard this. The clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebukes the sea and makes it dry, and dries up all the rivers. Bashan and Carmel wither, and the flower of Lebanon wilts. The mountains quake before him, the hills melt, and the earth heaves at his presence. Yes, the world and all who dwell in it. Who can stand before his indignation, and who can endure the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who trust in him. But with an overflowing flood, he will make an utter end of its place, and darkness will pursue his enemies. What do you conspire against the Lord? He will make an utter end of it. Affliction will not rise up a second time. For while tangled like thorns, and while drunken like drunkards, they shall be devoured and stubble dried, fully dried. From you comes forth one who plots evil against the Lord, a wicked counselor. Though they are safe and likewise many, yet in this manner they will be cut down when he passes through. Though I've afflicted you, I will afflict you no more. For now I'll break off his yoke from you and burst his bonds apart. The Lord has given a command concerning you. You shall be perpetuated no longer out of the house of your gods, lower G. I'll cut off the carved images and the mold image. I will dig your grave, for you are vile. Just reminds me of that woman mocking God on TV. Behold, on the mountains, the feet of him who brings good tidings, who proclaims peace, O Judah, keep your appointed feast, perform your vows, for the wicked one shall pass through you no more. Shall no more pass through you. He is utterly cut off. Anyways, that's Nahum 1. Just give me a second here and I'm going to get into what I'm going to talk about. It is a personal story that happened to me. So I'm going to read something to you from the book of Judges. If you can think of a better place in the Bible to read than this, I'm looking for something in terms of when people were in trouble but forgot their God, forgot to cry out to him. And that's what my video is about. Then, okay, so Judges 6, the Midianites oppress Israel. Then the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. I'm not saying I did evil, though. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. Because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made for themselves the dens, caves, and strongholds which are in the mountains. So it was whenever Israel had sown, the Midianites would come up, also Amalekites and the people of the east would come up against them. Then they would encamp against them and destroy the produce of the earth as far as Gaza, that's large territory, and leave no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor donkey. For they would come up with their livestock and their tents, coming in as numerous as the locusts. Both they and the camels were without number, and they would enter to the land to destroy it. So Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet to the children of Israel, who said to them, Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage. I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all those who oppressed you, and drove them out before you and gave you their land. Also I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Don't fear the gods, the Amorites, in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. So that's why they weren't crying out to God and they weren't doing the right things. They didn't have their eyes on God. Although what I'm going to discuss in my own life wasn't that, part of it, you'll see. Just give me a second, I'm really dehydrated. I just worked out, so. Holy man. You have a kidney stone? Everything in your GI tract just affects everything. It affects the way I speak, like the strongness of my voice. Everything. So my story begins 2 years ago, okay? I'll say this as quick as I can. 2 years ago, I wanted to get gifts for my brothers for Christmas and my dad. So I looked at a place and I wanted to give them a good gift, something that might go up in price or something like that. And like something collectible. So I found a coin. Excuse me. Not just any coins. Coins, it's hard to find a coin that will go up in any case. I found a really nice coin. And I'm not going to say the exact coin it is because I don't want to give anything away, but it was really nice and it was quite rare. and in any case, it was like a person doing that had built their own mint or was building their own mint, and it was truly a one in a lifetime thing. So the person promised me that I would have it by Christmas, so I paid for it. Okay, I paid quite a bit. I paid quite a bit for it, and I got 4 of them. And he missed the deadline, and I was quite upset. And at Christmas, I was like, to my brothers, I'm like, it's coming, and it never came. And, I'm the type of person who doesn't like Christmas, giving gifts and all that. I'm fine without doing that, but that's just, tradition that's gone on in my family forever, in many families. But I felt upset because the guy had promised me and sent me pictures and done all this type of stuff. And you know what? I spoke to this guy on the phone, and from what I could gather, he was a believer, a true believer, and I really liked the guy. So in any case, I let it go on for months and months, and he was trying to work to, someone had dropped out on him, okay, in this minting process, and it's extremely expensive. So I had to ask for my money back. I give a deadline, I want my money back. So I got my money back. That was that. About 6 months before Christmas this year, he solicited me, sent me an email, say, hey, these are going to be done, and I said, if they're done by Christmas, then I'll do it. And so that was our deal. I even gave a date, I said December 9th, and it went past that date. And I was trying to be good to this person, okay, to try to help their business, okay, and also get, a nice coin for my brothers. And so I got to pace here, guys. Give me a sec. It's brutal. So December 9th came. I said December 9th, because you're going to have to ship and everything, and there was a strike. There was a Canada Post strike. And by the 13th, he shipped it. It was something like that. It could have been after that, maybe in the 16th, but I do remember saying to him, even if they don't come on time, I said, don't worry about it, but I said I really want them, and that was the idea, to have them before Christmas. I probably shouldn't have said that, because our deal was to have it before Christmas. Because, he had already upset me once. I didn't want to be upset twice. And of course, all this stuff is being done through texting, right? Don't we all know what can happen with emotions, with, you don't know the way the person's feeling, the way the person's describing something. So even with the strike, Pearl later was still open, and he shipped it, and I'm like, the shipping's so much. I ship myself, so I know I can get low cost. In any case, it was shipped. And within 2 days, it reached a far distance to my province, okay? So I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm like following it, because I really want these for Christmas, because these are my gifts to give my family. And I look one day, and I'm following the tracking on 2 different places, Perlator and International Shipping and Tracking. International Shipping and Tracking, it's a free app. Go look. You can put your numbers in it, or it's great. That's what I do. I follow both. And it did not say delayed, as he would later say. It may have said that on his end, but it didn't on my end. the package was missing. I was really upset. I'm like, this is happening all over again, and I spent a number of hours on the phone with Pearl later and all that type of stuff. And I said to him, I said it was lost. And although it may not have been lost, it was true. It was missing. It was missing. They could not find it. So, how did the story go? December 23rd was the date that the box was supposed to come. It did not come. They couldn't find it. If it was just delayed, it was just delayed. It was not delayed. Christmas passed, and so I was really upset again. But I told my brothers, I'm like, don't worry. Like, I do have it this time and stuff like that, trying to reassure them. Christmas goes by. Listen, I'm very patient with people. But when it gets to a certain point, sometimes, I believe in being assertive. If you're not assertive, if you're not upfront with people, you're going to find you're not going to get through life very well, right? If you're, if you have Amazon and they're consistently moving you bought it because you want to get it in 3 days or the next day, and then they keep switching it on you. You phone them and you hold them accountable. I held this guy accountable. It was like the 27th or 27th. So imagine that. I'm messaging him and stuff. He's not answering. 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, nothing. I'm really upset. And so finally, I went on, Facebook. I don't like Facebook, man. But when you're doing business, it's different for me. And I did not just text messages, but voice messages because they weren't being answered. It's like, oh, I didn't see these messages, but only at the time when I started to get really like, hey, what are you doing, man? He said I had overwhelming family obligations. And I thought, this is your business, man. He's got a nice business, though. Like the nicest coins I believe there are probably in the world. And what happened? I'm really sorry. He did a long apology, like a really long apology. And he said to me that he was going to send me 3 free replacements. And he had said this, and he said, as soon as I do, he's making coins for a lot of other people. He says, as soon as I finish doing this or whatever, which was only going to take a short amount of time, I'm going to ship out your stuff, your stuff. It's on me. The buck stops with me. And that's what he said. I have, I keep evidence when people show me this stuff. And so, and again, I don't want me to make this long, but I want to tell you this story. So, when he said that, I felt kind of rude, but later I'm like, if you're doing signatures for, or sorry, this is what happened first. So he said that, and then he sent me a message. He said, it was like 2 days later, he said, I sent the package out. Note what I just said there. I sent the package out. It's out. I went to the post office. It's out. The day after, or 2 days after, the package comes to my door. I'm like, great, this is good. I wrap them up right away. I give it to one of my brothers. 2 of my other brothers are far away, so I leave it at my dad's. So I know he sent me this free package, and I feel rude. I'm like, I had to sign for that. I had to sign for that package, okay? So I know I have to ask him for the tracking number. You feel rude, like, it's still a pretty expensive package. So he's made through his business, a promise to me. And so when I started asking for that, it was like he was starting to suspect something. 2 full days after he said he sent the package to me, I get another message saying, oh, because, that came, I didn't send it out. I'm like, what? And that's where I kind of started to lose it. I wouldn't say lose it, but it was like, I was telling him this and that. I didn't want to feel like someone who was trying to manipulate the situation. He had promised me, because of all the troubles that I had gone through, 2 years without giving this to my family, like it made me upset, really upset at Christmas, not being able to have it when he was the one who came to me. In any case, by asking for the tracking number, he thought that I was trying to manipulate him to get 3 free coins. And all of a sudden, he's like, I've never had this happen in all my time, and you know the rest, right? I've never had this happen. No one's ever been unsatisfied. It wasn't about being unsatisfied. They were amazing coins, man. It was about his promise that he kept, right? And that's what businesses do. If you're missing a package or you don't send it in time, that's what you do. And I'm not a materialistic person. I don't collect coins either. But that's what happened. So after he said the things he did, he said, you tried to manipulate me for 3 coins. I'll tell you something. I felt really horrible. Right then, I'm like, I didn't know. You know that whatever they say, cognitive dissonance. I thought, like, did I do something here? Was I trying to do this? And the reality was, when he told me when the package was missing that he was going to replace it, of course I felt good. I'm like, I'm going to get possibly 3 extra coins because they're probably likely going to find that. That's in a lot of the cases with business that I do. If people mess up, they have to own up to it. But with the kidney stone already and the colic and the racing thoughts because of it, when I have colic like I do now, my thoughts race and race. And I thought, did I do something wrong? What is it? And I felt horrible, man. I felt horrible all yesterday. Why? If it's anyone else, if it's like someone here saying something bad on a video, saying something whatever, that doesn't, I know it's God who judges me and not you. I don't care. But because I'd had a long phone conversation with this guy, probably 2 or 3 hours, like this was like my type of person, and I knew he believed in God, so it hit me even harder. So what did I have to do? I had to compile everything he said, and I put it all in order. And at the beginning of it, I'm like, this is my life. This is what I do. I did a short paragraph, and then I put all the conversation together and the promises he made. All that time. So here's the crux of this story. When you're in those situations when you feel really bad, so I'm already dealing with a kidney stone, and like my stomach is crunching in on me and is through my back, right through my back and the lower. And then you got this situation going on too. I haven't manipulated someone in a very, very long time. I used to manipulate only because I was a drug and a substance abuser. I'm not that type of person. So by putting everything together and doing that, I sent it off to him. Sent him a message by text on my phone. I said, go read that, because I'm going to report you to the Better Business Bureau. The beginning of my letter said to him, by the writings of Paul, and I knew you'd understand this, it's better to solve your issues as Christians than to go to court in front of sinners, having sinners judge believers. In any case, I looked later, and I should have seen the things he said, man. They were just so far off. And it made me feel, was I really out just to manipulate him? I thought that for a second. I'm like, no, I was happy that I was getting an extra package. I did have to ask him for that tracking number, because if I'm not home, you don't get the package. What am I supposed to do? In any case, I looked back later, and there was a message, and it said, what did he say? Upon further consideration, I'm going to send you those coins. And so I said, I don't want your free coins. That's what I said. I said, I'll buy one from you to help you. I'll buy you one. Sure, I'll take one of those coins. Because I knew the guy was all by himself and having trouble. He put so much money into it, and he's got the greatest work, I believe, in coinage in the world. I'm not kidding. But in those moments when you feel so horrible and so overwhelmed, one thing happens, another thing happens, you're physically sick, and then all of a sudden it's like your character is being attacked in the body of Christ. That's what happened to me yesterday, and I still feel it, and I know that social media comment sections, they're cancer. It's all cancer. If people can't really be what they want to be, this is a virtual freaking world, man. It's ugly, and it's the beast. That's what it is. And it makes people really sick. There are people who commit suicide every single day because of social media. If you can't see, countries are starting to block kids from using social media until they're 14 or 16 years old. It's starting to happen in a lot of places. My main message is we forget to cry out to God. I did later. But when you're in those moments, you wonder why, and that's why I read Judges. They went 7 years. Pardon me, I got to pace. We forget to cry out to God. You wonder, there's parts in the Bible, why didn't they just cry out to God? Like that person had direct access to God, and all of a sudden they're in trouble. And they don't know what to do. Like David was able to say, from what we see, we don't know if God talked to David a lot more than he did, because David would be in trouble, and he would say, Lord, will I overtake them? Right? When what was it, the Amorites burned Ziklag, when they lived around Gath or something like that in Gaza. Remember when David went over to Gaza? In any case, he went over to the Philistines in Gath. I guess Ziklag is somewhere around there. Anyways, but you forget to cry out to God, and you wonder. I feel sometimes like the only person I can trust is myself. You don't know my character. You don't know the way I am. I only feel good towards other people. But when they start doing that type of stuff, in any case, maybe you know how I feel. And I'm not saying don't just make it just you and God. That's not what I'm saying. A lot of people say that, but I would never endorse just that. Although in many cases it's a good thing, but dealing with people, what I'm saying in that case is dealing with people who are not godly sometimes is difficult. And that's not the case I'm talking about with this person, but in any case, it felt like an attack on my character, and I knew different. And like I said, try to be assertive, and maybe when some other people would just forget that, I wanted to make sure. So, let's give me another sec. In times of illness, in times of trouble, in times of going homeless, right? Those types of things, you can be so overwhelmed that you forget to cry out to God, right? It's the best thing that you could ever do. It's the best thing you can do in general. That's my message for today. I think I'm going to make a video with my rabbit, and yeah, some people have been asking me for that. I think I'm going to make a video. There's some things that he does I want to get on camera. In any case, God bless.